Meet Botchan, a chronically online prince with such severe negative aura that literally touching him sends you straight to the gulag. But this absolute Gooner's entire life changes when he starts hardcore simping for his top-tier goth baddie maid, realizing he needs to cure his debuff just to finally smash. All this brain rot started years ago when some toxic server admin witch hit him with a permaban curse, meaning anything he touches instantly logs out of life. And since then, our boy has been permanently touching grass in Excel, desperately searching for patch notes to fix his broken stats so his NPC family will let him back into the main lobby. But hold up, his biggest problem is actually Alice, this absolute menace of a maid who constantly tries to rizz him up and bait him into clapping her cheeks into the next dimension, which this beta male constantly dodges, knowing she'd literally get packed up. Fast forward to one morning, he wakes up catching this waifu slacking right next to him as she drops a gourmet breakfast in his lap. But when he acts like a picky toddler and refuses to eat, she presses him on it, forcing him to trauma dump about how his family treated him like a toxic lobby member during dinner after his curse dropped. Suddenly, she drops the intel that his OG childhood squadmate Philip is about to pull up to the crib. Come reunion day, bro is absolutely crashing out with social anxiety, begging Alice to dodge the meetup, but she denies his request since she caught him in 4K practicing his NPC dialogue tree in the mirror. He then admits that Philip was the only player who didn't auto-kick him from the party post-curse, and he's hoping they can still duo queue. While equipping his skins, Alice starts hardcore glazing his entire aesthetic, straight up declaring she wants to lock lips with him, which our boy desperately denies. Just as Philip spawns in with his mob of bodyguards, Botchan drops a friendly greeting, bringing up how Philip used to grief him by tossing actual bugs at him back in the day. This makes Philip's squad panic and apologize, so Botchan casually reaches out to show there's no beef. But the meat shields instantly dive in front of Philip like he's the president, and even though Philip caps about them just hitting a JoJo pose, Botchan takes a massive emotional L, realizing they treat him like a raid boss. Later on, Botchan interrogates Philip on why he even logged in, to which he claims he's just checking on his bro. Philip then spots Alice, scanning her data and realizing she's the head maid's daughter, absolutely baffled that she's stuck carrying this loser. Out of nowhere, Philip equips a cigar, but his clumsy NPC goon fumbles the lighter, bumping the desk and sending a potted plant flying off the edge. Botchan hits a quick-time event and catches it, but the second he touches the leaves, it gets instantly dusted, sending Philip and his squad into pure panic mode, realizing they need to Alt F4 out of this mansion immediately. But right before logging out, Philip uses the bathroom excuse to get a solo escort from Alice. And the second they're away from the keyboard, he begs this goth baddie to dip with them, which she ruthlessly denies. Philip literally asks if she's being held hostage, only for Botchan to spawn out of nowhere, tweaking out and telling him to back off his certified waifu. As Botchan pushes up, Philip blocks him with a cane, straight up calling him a freak of nature. He then drops the lore bomb that Botchan's own mother dispatched him, since the server chat says his younger brother is taking over the family guild, warning him that he's about to be permanently banned from the family, adding that while Botchan is terrifying, he's also just taking a massive L. Once the lobby clears out, Botchan enters his full Doomer arc, overthinking that everyone, even his top-tier baddie Alice, is gonna drop him. Alice catches him crashing out in his feelings, and this absolute simp admits he starts tweaking whenever she's not directly in his field of view. Bro really claims he can't be her main squeeze since his hitboxes are literal death, plucking a white rose and whining about how he one-taps anything he tries to gift her. But Alice, being the ultimate W Rizzler, takes the dusted flower, claiming that a dead rose is actually a secret cheat code for staying together forever. She then hypes him up, saying that just co-oping life with him is the best loot drop ever, which completely restarts his brain, making Botchan mentally pledge to craft a wedding ring and lock her down as his official duo partner. The very next cycle, the boomer butler Rob respawns from his sick leave, declaring his shift has started, apologizing to Alice for making her solo grind the chores, though she totally flexes that she loves hovering around her master's spawn point. As Rob starts grinding the daily quests, Botchan gets nostalgic, remembering how Rob was the only NPC who didn't rage quit when his death aura activated. With the old man carrying the workload, Alice is basically AFK, so she hits Botchan with the "Am I annoying you" test. And Bro admits her massive, unmissable aura is completely tanking his reading comprehension. Suddenly, Rob materializes with a healing potion of tea, and despite Botchan sweating over his low HP, Rob insists his stats are perfectly fine, commanding Alice to party up for the housework, and as she slides out, she hits Botchan with a devious flashbang of pure fan service that totally fries his Unga-Bunga neurons. Later on, Botchan is over here thinking Rob's agility stats haven't decayed at all, until this visually impaired boomer almost collides with him, confusing his pixels for Alice's. Rob casually mentions his render distance is lagging, and when Botchan points out his hardware is clearly outdated, Rob straight up refuses the reality check. Botchan desperately tries to explain his literal instant kill mechanics, but Rob's audio drivers are also cooked, so he barely hears a word. Right on cue, Alice glitches into the room, and Rob leans in aggressively close just to load her textures, turning Botchan into a possessive beta male crashing out with jealousy until the old man finally recognizes her. Backing off, Botchan clumsily triggers physics on a vase, but Rob catches it with god-tier reflexes, flexing that even though his software is ancient, his aimbot is still active. Next up, our boy Botchan is grinding his favorite minigame, smashing piano keys and dropping sick custom tracks, hard coping that if his clan permabans him, he could just reclass into a bard and survive off SoundCloud royalties. Out of nowhere, Alice uses stealth to pop up beside him, giving him a massive jump scare, apologizing but claiming his fire beats drew her in. Botchan tells her to act like a normal NPC, and when she completely violates his personal space, he commands her to go grind her chores so he can actually focus. So Alice complies and starts scrubbing the fireplace, but because this dude is a certified degenerate, he totally fails the QuickTime event and violently stares at her cake. However, Alice instantly catches him lacking in 4K, and Botchan desperately tries to gaslight her into thinking she baited him. To stop her from completely ruining his concentration, he demands she sit her character model down and just vibe to his playlist. As he drops the absolute banger he was cooking up, Alice gets a cinematic flashback of him giving her that dusty white rose, basically confirming his massive simp status. She glazes the track hard, and Botchan folds instantly, admitting he literally produced the whole beat just for her, before getting hyper-flustered and claiming he's gonna go AFK for a nap until dinner spawns. But right before logging off, Alice threatens him with a goodnight kiss, closing the distance until their hitboxes almost collide, only to psyche him out, screaming it's a prank bro, and leaving him with terminal blue balls. Meanwhile, back at the main clan's base, his sister Viola decides to pull a devious lick and sneak out. The very next server tick, she and her squad breach Botchan's crib, instantly flaming him in voice chat and calling his character model busted as usual. Her sudden spawn makes Botchan straight up crash out, summoning Alice for backup. And the second she renders in, he orders her to kick Viola from the server, but Viola ignores the command, demanding parley with her brother. They enter a tea-drinking cutscene, and when Botchan toxically asks when she's disconnecting, Viola states her session is short, knowing their server admin mom would permanently ban her if she found out. Viola then commands Alice to spawn more sweets, which Botchan knows is her main consumable, explaining why her character's height slider is set to the absolute minimum. When Alice unrenders, Viola catches Botchan violently staring at her exit animation and brutally calls out his simp behavior. Bro shamelessly admits to the allegations, prompting Viola to drop some intense looksmaxing advice, roasting his absolute lack of sleep and telling him he needs to cover up the massive eye bags he farmed from being a literal midnight Gooner, comparing it to how she hides her deeply cooked hairline. Right after that roast session, Viola fast travels home, promising to respawn soon, and when she wishes him RNG luck on returning to the main base, Bro's face turns cherry red, finally realizing his sister isn't entirely a toxic troll. On her way out, she crosses paths with Rob, who drops a polite greeting, making her instantly blush since she's basically down bad for this absolute silver fox of a dilf. She hard caps, claiming she was actually here to visit him too. And when Rob gives her basic NPC validation, Botchan notes how insanely weak Viola's defense stats are against high-level older dudes. A few hours of grinding later, Botchan is tweaking out over a random black cat spawning in his lobby, begging Alice to delete it. Alice ruthlessly mocks him for taking an L to a feline, but Botchan tries to restore his aura by claiming he's only scared his hitboxes will clip and dust the thing. As Alice pushes up, the cat accepts her vibes and immediately starts speedrunning a massage on her massive assets, generating lethal amounts of envy from the chat. They spot a collar, questioning its origin story, but before they can inspect the item, the cat locks onto Botchan and initiates a boss fight, chasing him around while he screams like a total noob, terrified of the proximity damage. They sprint past Rob, who enters the skirmish, but because his graphics card is failing, he literally mistakes the tiny cat for Botchan. And upon capturing the beast, finally processes the pixels, dropping it instantly and forcing Botchan back into his cardio routine. Eventually, they realize the mob is just aggroed on Botchan's tie, so they let it toy with his cosmetics. Looting the cat's collar drops a text file, apologizing for the random spawn. Alice's brain is buffering, but Botchan translates the lore, figuring out the previous owner basically rage quit and dumped the pet in their server. They drop some consumables for it outside, and Botchan hits it with a trauma-bonding monologue about how getting kicked from the party absolutely sucks. Soon enough, an entire squad of cats spawns in, and Rob points out the stray has already formed a new guild. They ping Botchan that tea is crafted, and as he extracts from the zone, he checks his rear view. Just glad the furball found a non-toxic lobby. Fast forward, Alice catches Botchan solo queuing in the massive empty ballroom, where he drops lore about his grandpa using this exact map to grind his dancing skill tree. And since his grandpa's movement mechanics were complete trash, he constantly requested Alice's mom to carry him through the tutorials. It's pure scripted destiny that these two are now idling in the exact same spot. And when Botchan fumbles his dialogue options trying to request a dance, Alice instantly rejects him, demanding he re-roll his charisma check and ask like an actual alpha. He locks in, drops the perfect gentleman prompt, and she finally accepts the party invite. Utilizing Bluetooth collision physics, they start emoting together in the pitch-black ballroom, absolutely styling on the dance floor like pros. Post-dance, while soaking up the moonlight graphics, Botchan decides to test his riz and asks for her honest review of him. She hits him with the classic, "You're a VIP" answer, but bro pushes for the romance route, asking how she views him as a male target. When Alice drops the absolute nuke that she's max level simping for him, Botchan's dopamine receptors explode, and they head to the dining hall knowing the mutual feelings are officially locked in. The next server cycle, Botchan is absolutely sweating in a billiards mini-game, looking like a Far Z clan sniper while the chat spams WS from the sidelines. Alice jumps into the lobby, and they set up a high-stakes bet where the loser becomes the winner's absolute slave for a command. Match point, Botchan is aiming down sights for the dub, but right before he fires, this absolute menace leans into his mic and whispers something ridiculously out of pocket about putting it in gently, completely shattering his aim assist and making him utterly whiff the trick shot. Exploiting his massive choke, Alice casually no-scopes the final ball and steals the victory royale right from under him. Because of the wager, Botchan is now contractually obligated to fulfill her wildest request, his heart rate spiking to 200 BPM as he hallucinates all the degenerate things she could possibly ask for. Secretly praying she asks him to go absolutely feral, but to his total shock and massive blue-balling disappointment, Alice just drops a wholesome request for a co-op date to free roam around the main city hub. Later at the tea station, she drops the patch notes that an upcoming cosplay event is happening, and if Botchan equips high-tier thick armor, his death aura won't clip through and delete any random NPCs. Even though bro is severely allergic to high-population servers and touching grass, Alice drops to her knees and hits him with the ultimate puppy dog eyes emote, making it impossible for this absolute simp to decline. Completely folding under pressure, he agrees to her terms. And by the next day, they touch down in the city wearing full disguises, with Botchan literally trapped in a full steel suit just to stop his negative aura from packing up the population, which is crazy since he has to carry all that dead weight. But the second he catches a glimpse of Alice's fit, he starts hardcore simping, telling her she looks absolutely top tier, which makes her hit him with that glowing waifu smile. Noticing the streets are packed with random normies, she offers to cancel the whole operation and dip back to the crib if his social anxiety is peaking. But Botchan refuses to take the L, insisting he wants to fulfill her request and soak up every second with his certified baddie, which makes her day, though as they keep walking, our boy starts physically colliding with the massive crowd. And during a literal microsecond when Alice looks away, Bro gets absolutely leveled by a random civilian and separated from his duo. Alice immediately starts tweaking, frantically searching the zone until some mysterious masked lady stops her, asking if she's Sharon. Alice drops the law that Sharon is actually her mom, causing the masked stranger's brain to process the data and realize she's the daughter, but the lady dips out before Alice can even interrogate her. Meanwhile, Botchan is aimlessly wandering the concrete jungle until some random crying kid latches onto him, screaming for his mom. Our socially awkward MC is absolutely bricking it, completely clueless on how to handle human interaction since he's lost himself. But then he spots a random piano sitting there, calculating that dropping a sick beat might stop the kid from crashing out. The second he starts smashing the keys, he drops an absolute banger, and suddenly the entire block gathers around. The track goes so unfathomably hard that it instantly turns into a massive street festival, with other bards joining in and the whole crowd dancing and catching pure vibes from his masterpiece. Eventually, the kid's frantic mom pulls up to reclaim him, so Botchan cuts the concert short. Just then, Alice completely violates his personal space, popping her head straight into his steel armor, overwhelmingly relieved he didn't get packed up. She hits him with the "wanna go home" prompt again, but Botchan actually steps up, shocking her by saying he wants to keep roaming the city with her. They start exploring the hood, eventually spectating some theatrical event about a princess locked in a tower. Fast forward to a local merchant stall, Botchan finds a mask that literally looks exactly like his own busted face. They find it hilarious until the shopkeeper drops the devastating law that it's designed after the local Grim Reaper who supposedly lives in a nearby mansion. That uncalled-for roast completely cooks Botchan's mental state, so after they dip, he tries to copium his way out of depression with some ice cream, internally defending that he's not a monster, just a dude with a bad curse. The ice cream hits so different he offers Alice a taste, but when she aggressively licks it with pure unadulterated Riz, his entire brain blue screens and he begs her to stop doing devious acts in public. Changing the subject, Alice suggests they scale the local clock tower since it's totally empty, and once they reach the peak, Botchan is absolutely mind-blown by the insane view of the city below. Alice then trauma dumps a local myth about a princess and the moon, where some toxic witch banished a prince to the moon, forcing the princess to blow him kisses every night just to keep their snap streak alive. Botchan visualizes the absolute simp of a prince returning those long-distance kisses, which completely ruins his vibe. When Alice asks why he's crashing out, Bro confesses that unlike the story, he feels galaxies apart from her even when they're standing right next to each other, and because he's down so astronomical, the urge to physically touch her is driving him clinically insane. But Alice easily diffuses his meltdown, gently validating him by saying just existing in his proximity is a massive W, and she plans on staying locked by his side permanently. Later that night, Botchan receives a devious handwritten DM from Alice telling him to slide into her room if his insomnia is acting up, giving him terminal false hope that he's finally about to smash. Botchan literally teleports to her door, and when he requests entry, she swings it open with her absolute twin bazookas fully on display, instantly frying his frontal lobe as she casually drops that she usually sleeps completely naked. After she throws some clothes on, he steps into her suspiciously good-smelling lair. She promises to cure his negative vibes tonight, so he eagerly sits down, sweating bullets over what kind of freaky activity is about to start. Spotting her discarded clothes on the desk, Bro's monkey brain starts short-circuiting as he wonders if she's currently going commando while pouring tea. She then commands him to lay on her bed, and as she leans her face aggressively close, Bro completely braces himself for a god-tier make-out session. But then the record scratches and she just tells him to go to sleep. Absolutely bamboozled and tragically blue-balled, he starts malding internally, but she hits him with the reality check that she literally just meant she was helping his insomnia. He takes the massive L and accepts his fate. But right before his system shuts down, He begs her to tag along tomorrow because he has an exclusive cinematic event to show her. Fast forward, Botchan takes Alice out on a boat to spectate a meteor shower that only drops once every decade. He flexes that he saw it 10 years ago and has been hardcore obsessing over watching it with her ever since. Alice is absolutely glowing over this core memory, while Botchan hypes himself up, deciding it's finally time to stop dodging the issue and drop a full romantic confession. As the sky starts glitching out with shooting stars, Alice completely ignores the graphics and just violently stares at Botchan, hitting him with the ultimate riz by claiming his face is way more majestic than the actual sky. But suddenly, his cosmetic hat gets absolutely snatched by the wind. Alice lunges for it and literally throws her center of gravity overboard. Because of his cursed instant kill stats, Botchan can't even grab her, so she goes fully submerged into the lake. He starts frantically spamming apologies, his hand twitching to grab her before he forcefully cancels the movement, paralyzed by his own toxic touch. Instead of panicking, Alice demands he lock lips with her right there, claiming she ain't no long-distance princess, and she's ready to take the permanent game over just for one kiss. Bro is absolutely frozen between maximum simp energy and pure terror, while she casually closes the distance. But right before they collide, he violently pulls away, refusing to catch a murder charge. Because he folded, Alice executes a devious maneuver and literally flips the entire boat, gaslighting him by saying he needs to touch grass and do some cardio in the water. Once they drag themselves onto dry land, she asks if he's still gonna drop that confession. But Botchan completely aborts the mission, convinced the cinematic timing is ruined. Back at the base, they're camping the fireplace to cure their frostbite. Alice then drops a massive lore hint, inviting him to spectate the next meteor shower 10 years from now, which cures Botchan's depression knowing she plans to be his main chick for the next decade. But the very next morning, Botchan is absolutely tweaking, unable to delete the memory of dodging that kiss. The replay keeps looping in his brain, hitting him with critical emotional damage. He starts catastrophizing that Alice is secretly holding a massive grudge over his beta male behavior. And when morning hits, his paranoia seems totally justified because when Alice and Rob walk in, she is acting like a completely different person. She's avoiding eye contact, keeping maximum social distancing, and totally refusing to flash her massive giant to break his focus. Botchan tries to bait her into doing her usual freaky behavior, but Alice remains completely stoic, shutting down all his attempts at banter. This sudden character assassination leaves Bro completely devastated, spiraling over where his certified freak of a maid went, and wondering what massive L he took to get ghosted in real time. Rob spots Botchan having a literal existential crisis and asks what's cooking his mental. Botchan pathetically whines that he misses the OG Alice, but Rob claims she looks perfectly normal. Refusing the cap, Botchan intensely scans her, noticing her vibes are way off, so he orders Rob to run a physical diagnostic, revealing Alice is actually burning up with a massive fever. Botchan instantly escorts her to the bedroom and tucks her in, frantically trauma-dumping apologies for making her take a swim the other night. But Alice weakly shuts down his theory, revealing her immune system is cooked because she was literally camping outside his window all night, freezing her assets off while hardcore edging to the sight of him sleeping. Completely embarrassed by her own unhinged simp behavior, she demands he exit the room so she can recover, but Botchan totally rejects the command. He stubbornly declares that even if his touch is a literal permaban, he's gonna camp by her bedside and play support class. And when he tosses an extra blanket over her, she forcefully hugs it, aggressively hallucinating that it's him, which makes Botchan's heart completely flatline. The next day, a snow weather event drops, and Alice's health bar fully regenerates, bringing her freaky energy right back. She immediately offers to warm his freezing hands between her massive badonkadonks. But Bro instantly hits the panic button, screaming that his hands would send her straight to the gulag. Later that night, as Botchan gets ready to log off, Alice equips a brand new scarf around his neck. He notices the fresh drip, and she gets super shy, admitting she manually crafted the item just for him. She then hits him with a quest to play in the snow tomorrow, and completely melted by her wholesome aura, Botchan accepts, locking in the deal with a literal pinky promise so he doesn't accidentally vaporize her. Spawning outside the next morning, they hit the fresh powder. Botchan is hyped about the winter graphics, but he's even more mind-blown by how insanely aesthetic Alice looks in the snow. Trying to be playful, he scoops up some snow and lightly tosses it at her. But when it flawlessly lands and melts straight into her massive cleavage, Bro's eyes practically bulge out of his skull as he gets completely caught slacking in 4K. Right on cue, Rob spawns directly behind them. And when they ask why this ancient boomer is out in the cold, he insists on joining the winter event. Without even hesitating, he starts speedrunning a snowman build, prompting Botchan to get Alice to help him farm snowballs for the project. As they grind materials, Alice refuses to stop the brain rot, dropping mad freaky comments about how soft and squishy the balls feel in her hands. She tells Botchan to go AFK while she and Rob finish the construction, but the second her back is turned, Botchan pulls a devious lick and beams a snowball straight at her head. Proving she has god-tier reflexes, she effortlessly evades it and instantly returns fire with a literal machine gun barrage, triggering a massive shootout. Rob is just happily spectating his master actually touching grass and having fun. But when a stray projectile smacks him in the dome, the old man is forced to enter the battlefield. The trio spends the entire daytime cycle engaging in absolute chaotic warfare, repeatedly collapsing into the snow from laughing so hard. Once the event ends, Alice requests the scarf back so she can clean it, but Botchan throws a total tantrum and literally sprints away, refusing to unequip her god-tier gift. As she watches him leave, she suddenly realizes she's missing an earring, classic shoujo setup. The pair her mom gave her has clipped through the map somewhere in the snow. She tries to brave the blizzard to find it, but the freezing debuff instantly cooks her weakened stamina. Botchan immediately notices her distress and calculates exactly what happened. Without a single second of hesitation, Bro goes completely solo into the freezing wasteland to recover the lost drop. He starts furiously excavating the terrain, completely ignoring his dropping core temperature. His stamina eventually hits zero, and he absolutely face-plants into the frozen dirt. At that exact moment, a random white bat is flying over the map hunting for loot. She touches down and shape-shifts into her true anime girl form. Spotting Botchan literally logged out in the snow, she violently dashes over. When his system finally reboots, she tries to manually lift him up, but he aggressively screams at her to back off, warning her that his touch is a literal one-way ticket to getting packed up into the afterlife. He then drops the law that he's currently dying just to find his maid's missing jewelry. Hearing this, the girl, Cuff, starts heavily praising his dedication to a mere servant. She suggests he just take the L before he permanently freezes, but Botchan violently rejects the advice, declaring he absolutely needs to see his waifu smile again. He crashes out and faints once more before finding the item. Massively respecting his Sigma grind set, Cuff activates her absolute fire hazard of a magic trick, instantly glassing huge chunks of the snow to reveal the buried loot. When Botchan wakes up again, his brain is totally lagging at the sight of the melted terrain, just as Cuff flexes the recovered earring in his face. Soon after, Botchan escorts Cuff inside the main base and hooks her up with some consumable rations as a massive thank you. When Alice finally drops into the scene, Botchan handles the intros and explains how Cuff totally carried him. Alice starts aggressively flaming him for throwing his HP away in the snow, but the second he trades her the recovered heirloom, her entire mood flips, super relieved to have it back, only for Cuff to suddenly yank Alice away, demanding to use the shower. Going solo again, Botchan starts tweaking over why the two girls are taking so long in the bathroom. His brain rot takes over, and he starts hallucinating them running some exclusive devious activities in the tub. The intrusive thoughts completely short-circuit his brain, making him hit an absolutely unhinged victory dance that is pure cringe. Right on cue, the girls clip back into the room, totally catching him lacking mid-emote as Cuff thanks them for the water. They serve up some dinner as a reward for the carry, and while eating, Botchan cautiously opens the dialogue tree about witches. Cuff initially hits him with the silent treatment, refusing to leak any clan secrets. But the second Alice drops the dessert buff, Cuff's defense completely breaks and she starts trauma dumping. She confirms she has no idea which specific toxic admin cursed Botchan, explaining that the Witch Guild is totally decentralized. She drops the heavy law that witches are constantly getting griefed and perma-banned by human hunters. Hitting Botchan with a massive plot twist, she reveals her dad was actually an NPC human who got packed up by the hunters just for partying with witches. Because her stats are half human, half witch, both factions basically blacklisted her from their servers. But she didn't rage quit because she had one loyal squadmate who stuck around. Processing this data, Botchan flashbacks to Philip calling him a raid boss and realizes they're both dealing with the exact same negative aura. He drops a genuine thank you for the revive despite him being a human. And Cuff admits his absolute Sigma grind set is the only reason she intervened. Alice then spawns back in, returning Cuff's repaired gear. Triggering a flashback to the random masked lady, Alice questions if all witches use the same cosmetic skins. Cuff validates the theory, stating humans basically never equip that kind of armor. Botchan then asks for the cheat codes to bypass his curse, but Cuff admits she's completely clueless, claiming her duo partner always handled the big brain tech because her own INT stat is basically 0. Botchan hits her with the Riz check, teasing her for simping over this guy, making Cuff's character model turn bright red. Completely crashing out from embarrassment, she panic transforms into a bat and literally clips out the window. The very next cycle, Alice goes to check out the Botchan-themed snowman they crafted. She gets hit with a nostalgia debuff, remembering how low-level NPCs used to grief her, but Botchan was the only one who tanked the aggro and supported her. As she zones out staring at the ice sculpture, Botchan slowly closes the distance equipped with an umbrella. Catching her intensely staring, he realizes just how massively down bad she is for some actual physical contact. Fast forward to morning tea, Botchan realizes Alice has basically been wearing the same default skin every single day. He offers to fund some new microtransactions for her wardrobe, but Alice just laughs, claiming she constantly swaps her gear. Dropping a massive bombshell, she reveals the maid outfit is literally just her base layer, and she has a whole inventory of variations. Later on, Viola fast travels back to the crib, and the second she renders Rob's character model, her brain absolutely melts and she acts totally unhinged. Botchan tries to drop reality check telling her Rob is literally a fossil who probably has ED, but Viola shamelessly admits she's locked in on her simp behavior. When Botchan points out the massive class difference, Viola instantly hits him with the Uno reverse card, brutally roasting his own desperate obsession with Alice. Right on cue, Alice spawns with the snacks, and while they consume the HP items, Viola starts running a full scan on her. Judging her entire build, Viola flames Alice, stating that while her proportions are god tier, her actual Riz stats are completely non-existent. Viola commands Botchan to look away while she downloads some advanced cuteness tech into Alice's software. Once Alice masters the emote and flashes it at Botchan, Bro gets hit with so much emotional damage he almost projectile vomits his milk. Suddenly, Rob enters the chat and politely hands Viola a ban warning, saying her session is over. Right before she logs off, Botchan suggests she use that exact same cute emote to riz up Rob. Viola accepts the challenge, but the second she tries to execute the move, she completely fumbles the input and ends up looking like a cursed goblin, taking a massive L. The next day, Viola respawns and instantly starts tweaking the second she spots Rob again. The boomer butler escorts her to the kitchen, where Botchan is co-oping with Alice on some cooking quests. Seeing a massive opportunity to flex her domestic stats for Rob, Viola aggressively forces her way into the party. Botchan sees her master plan and strategically pairs her up with Rob, but Viola immediately flames him in chat for being a weirdo. Even though he's literally carrying her romance route, Viola keeps emitting degenerate squeaks watching Rob handle the dough. When Rob crafts a cat-shaped consumable, Viola completely glazes his dexterity, heavily implying they look like a married duo running a bakery. She then hits Botchan with some wholesome dialogue, saying he pulled a massive W having Alice and Rob, hoping he clears his curse soon to claim the Guild Master title. Rob drops a polite thank you emote for the validation. Later, right as Viola is about to extract, Rob sprints over and trades her a basket of the fresh loot, assuring her she's whitelisted on the server. Checking her inventory, she spots the custom cat bread and happily consumes it. The following day, Botchan and Alice hit the ice skating minigame. Every time she drifts past him, she drops a devious voice line. Out of absolutely nowhere, a random talking bird spawns and starts loudly declaring his need to grope Alice's assets. Initially, Botchan thinks the devs laced his consumables, but when the bird asks if he's seen a lost player, Botchan's brain finally connects the dots, realizing this is the legendary duo partner Cuff was talking about. Alice slides over, mentioning she also triggered a random encounter. Before she can drop the lore, the bird hits a transformation sequence into a birdman named Zane, confirming his witch status. He immediately starts spamming Riz at Alice, but Botchan violently shoves his character model away, refusing to let this freak anywhere near his primary objective. Zane complains that he's just genetically programmed to simp, mainly because Cuff constantly ghosts him, completely admitting he's a massive fan of huge personalities, assuming Botchan shares the same degenerate taste. But Botchan loudly declares he's a Thai man through and through, prompting Alice to furiously update her notes. Zane then starts panicking over Cuff's whereabouts, but plot twist, Cuff literally unclips from Alice's massive twin mountains. Alice drops the reveal that she found Cuff taking massive frostbite damage in the lake and let her camp in her cleavage for warmth. While Alice recovers stamina, the rest of the party attempts the skating mechanics. Zane tries to backseat game Cuff's technique, roasting her movement for being clunky compared to Alice's smooth animations. Cuff instantly crashes out and uses a fire spell to cook his face. Watching them physically interact makes Botchan hyper-jealous, mouthing that his negative aura prevents him from holding hands. When Alice offers the physical contact, he violently declines, terrified of the instant kill mechanic. Suddenly, he fumbles the physics engine and eats ice. But Bro just starts laughing, claiming he's having a blast, which boosts Alice's morale. Meanwhile, Cuff executes a rear grapple on Zane, forcing him to act as her personal sled. She yanks Alice into the train, who then invites Botchan to join the party. So he safely grabs her sleeve to avoid collision damage and gets dragged along for the ride. Before disconnecting from the lobby, the witches drop an exclusive invite for Botchan to attend a massive witch convention to hunt down the admin who banned his touch. Alice demands to join the raid, needing to gather more intel on that random masked lady. Botchan tries to deny the request, but Alice deploys the weaponized cute emote, and he instantly folds. Later that night, Viola infiltrates Alice's base and is completely shook by the absolute arsenal she's got hidden under her gear. While chilling, Viola spots the crusty dead rose on the desk, which Alice claims is her highest tier legendary item. Post-tea time, Viola physically attaches herself to Alice, claiming this is peak girls' night energy. Alice asks for the definition, and Viola explains it's when you leak highly classified secrets. Fully committing to the bit, Viola drops the intel that she's down astronomical for Rob. Alice is mildly stunned but validates the ship. Viola then interrogates Alice on her target, to which Alice confesses she's simping for her own Prince Charming. Viola starts laughing, completely missing the massive hint and assuming she means some random NPC, totally blind to the fact she's talking about her brother. After a massive dialogue sequence, Viola trauma dumps that she always wanted an older sister since the clan leader dumped all the XP into the male heirs. Just then, Botchan spawns in trying to locate Viola. Alice caps, saying she's currently AFK, and commands Botchan to start dropping mad praise when she reboots, which he agrees to. But when the server resets the next morning and Botchan tries to execute the compliment, Viola completely rejects it and calls him a weirdo, moving on to the next tea session where Botchan complains about Alice's default skin. She attempts to flash her thighs, but Bro clarifies it's her exposed shoulders that are cooking his focus. Alice starts cycle testing different armor sets, but Botchan downvotes all of them. She then threatens to unequip her underwear entirely, forcing Botchan into an absolute panic to shut the idea down. Fast forward to the abandoned conservatory. Botchan volunteers to co-op the cleaning quest to unlock a reading room, but Alice is already speedrunning the chores with the cleaning items. Exploiting his curse, Botchan starts intentionally wiping out the local flora. While grinding, he analyzes the curse's spaghetti code, noting that direct contact triggers instant death, but thick armor completely blocks the effect. To Botchan, it's clear the witch admin built this mechanic specifically to grief him. Suddenly, he catches Alice getting distracted by some high-tier flowers. Even though she's vibing with them, she orders him to cast his death spell so she can finish the quest. But recognizing her attachment to the aesthetics, Botchan instead crafts a custom flower crown and equips it to her head. She drops a massive thank you, locking it into her inventory as another permanent treasure. Seeing her positive reaction maxes out his motivation to locate the admin and delete the curse. Hard coping that he'll eventually get unbanned from the main base to reunite with his clan. Meanwhile, back at the main hub, Viola is catching severe aggro from her mom for her toxic behavior, but she totally ignores the warnings. Back at the cursed crib, Botchan is roaming the halls when he detects Alice locked in combat. He rushes the location and finds her rendered with nothing but a bathrobe. She drops the quest log that the cat literally stole her main outfit during her bath, so Botchan accepts the recovery mission. Alice aggressively joins the party, refusing to AFK, but because her current outfit is highly distracting, Botchan forces his jacket onto her shoulders to censor the view. She sniffs the item, dropping freaky comments about his scent, prompting him to desperately push the objective. During the sweep, Botchan completely fails the stealth check and keeps violently staring at her chest, leading her to deviously offer him a free feel. Right before he crashes out, they locate the cat boss hoarding Alice's loot. The armor is completely degraded, making them realize the mob was using it for base building. Botchan suggests she just buy a replacement, but Alice refuses to trash it, dropping the law that it's the exact same item he glazed earlier. She ends up letting the cat keep the broken asset. When she attempts to trade back the jacket, Botchan declines the trade and logs off for the night. After he exits the cell, she peeks out to drop a final goodnight message while aggressively huffing his jacket. The next server cycle, a massive Blood Moon event triggers as Cuff and Zane spawn in to escort Botchan to the witch raid. They catch him sorting his inventory, but Cuff instantly deletes all his items with fire magic, claiming he doesn't need the extra weight. Alice demands an invite to the party, and even though Botchan is sweating over the aggro, Cuff and Zane casually greenlight it. Cuff trades them some stealth cloaks to completely mask their human hitboxes. Right as they equip the skins, Rob spawns in, completely tweaking over their HP dropping. Botchan drops some absolute gigachad dialogue, assuring Rob that with his certified baddie Alice, they'll survive the raid. Zane pops a portal open inside a mirror, and when they zone in, they spawn into a completely different server filled with witches hosting a massive convention. Botchan is scanning the lobby in pure terror, noticing these witches look absolutely nothing like Cuff and Zane, when suddenly a random ball clips into his hitbox, and a witch tells him to pass it back. He grabs the item, and his brain completely lags when he realizes he's holding an actual human eyeball. Then the guild master, Dalith, spawns in, and Alice's facial recognition software instantly pings her as the masked lady from the city hub. Dalith scans Cuff and Zane's party, questioning who they're carrying. Zane tries to backseat game Cuff into lying, claiming they're just siblings. But Cuff completely fumbles the dialogue option, loudly declaring Botchan and Alice are literally their offspring, hitting everyone with critical confusion damage and heavily tilting Zane. Dalith initiates the main quest dialogue, but Botchan is totally shook to find the event is basically just a Discord voice call, with witches spamming chat about Netflix prices and inflation. The event quickly wraps up, but Botchan is malding because he didn't pull any lore drops on the admin who cursed him. The other guild members start dropping toxic comments about Zane reproducing with a half-blood like Cuff, but Zane goes full alpha, yanking Cuff close and demanding the lobby apologize, warning these busted NPCs to never flame her in his presence. Meanwhile, Dalith uses X-ray vision on Alice, shook that she managed to max out her reputation stats with Cuff and Zane. Alice interrogates Dalith on her mom's witch connections, but Dalith claims her mom is just a low-level contact. When Botchan joins the cutscene, Dalith confirms she has his cursed player profile saved. Sending him into absolute despair, she drops the nuke that the admin who banned his touch is already permanently logged out, and the curse's coding is so complex even she can't patch it. She straight up tells them to delete their save files and give up, then uses a fire spell to destroy Botchan's stealth cloak, exposing his human status to the entire server. The lobby instantly aggroes, forcing Botchan and Alice to speedrun for their lives. One witch almost lands a CC on Alice with some vine magic, but Botchan purposely collides with the hitboxes, triggering his instant kill aura to dust the plants and completely flex on the attacker. Zane quick casts an extraction portal, and while Cuff spams AoE fire to zone the mob, they safely log out, officially turning Cuff and Zane into rogue players against their own faction. Back at the base, Botchan starts apologizing for dragging down their stats, but Zane totally brushes it off, claiming the Witch Guild is always toxic anyway, and now they have an excuse to dodge the weekly meetings. He tries to shoot his shot with Alice, claiming he'll play tank for her forever, but this absolute baddie leaves him on read, way more hyped about Botchan clutching up and saving her from getting packed. Cuff asks if they looted any useful intel, and even though the drop rate was 0, Botchan claims he at least understands the server mechanics better now. He then asks why Cuff hard carried him, and she confesses she wanted to send a friend request after witnessing his insane Sigma grind set in the snow biome. Botchan instantly accepts, stating he wants to squad up with both of them. And as they log off for the night, they lock in a promise to respawn at the mansion as official duo partners. Left solo, Botchan's motivation meter is completely full, but Alice hits him with the depression debuff, pointing out how much it sucks to be physical touch restricted, offering to let him completely feel her up, which he frantically declines. The next server cycle, Botchan recommends Alice equip some white cosmetics, noting it would completely overhaul her default goth aesthetic. But the absolute second his brain renders her in a white wedding dress skin, Bro completely folds and starts hallucinating their marriage cutscene. Later in the lobby, Alice reveals she spent real currency on a legendary witch's cauldron, complete with a secret crafting recipe book. She grinds all the required materials and preps the crafting station perfectly. To boot up the cauldron's software, she starts glazing the pot like it's a desperate e-girl who's losing subs on her OnlyFans. The massive amount of validation makes the pot completely overheat, bringing the water to a rolling boil. Alice starts dumping the loot in, generating a highly suspicious purple consumable. While she's mixing, Botchan just aggressively stares at the pot until it gets self-conscious and literally flames him for being a creep. Alice then flexes the pot's other mechanics, hyping it up by calling it peak aesthetic, which causes it to deploy a massive tactical smoke grenade. Next, she commands Botchan to take over the stirring minigame, ordering him to only process positive thoughts during the animation. But because his brain is complete mush, all he can render is a POV of Alice trying to use her ultimate move on his joystick. Once the crafting bar fills up, Alice proudly claims they've successfully generated the anti-curse patch. She loads a spoon and offers Botchan the buff. He downs the consumable, and even though it tastes like literal garbage water, his stats remain completely unchanged. To run a diagnostic, he taps a flower which gets instantly deleted. Despite taking a massive L, Botchan drops a genuine thank you, telling Alice that just her trying to fix his corrupted save file boosts his mental enough to keep grinding for a solution. Since the cauldron turned out to be a useless cosmetic, they decided to trade it to Rob. The second the pot renders Rob's absolute god-tier DILF energy, it starts hardcore glitching out again. Out of nowhere, Viola clips into the room, and when she sees this random object stealing Rob's focus, she completely crashes out with jealousy, deciding she's gonna use the pot as a literal toilet just to assert dominance. Meanwhile, Alice is doing a library sweep and loots a highly suspicious music sheet. She brings the item to Botchan, explaining it was produced by some ancient bard named McFarlane. The item description claims that if Botchan can full combo the track, it will instantly cleanse his debuff. Botchan locks into the piano station and initiates the rhythm game, and as he hits the notes, a tiny NPC named McFarlane literally spawns in front of him, claiming only Botchan's hardware can render him. But the absolute second McFarlane's sensors detect Alice, he starts aggressively drooling, declaring it's been centuries since he saw a certified baddie of this caliber. He executes a devious mechanic, lifting Alice's skirt, gaslighting her into thinking it's just wind physics, while Botchan completely drops his combo the moment he renders her thighs. McFarlane continues to spam degenerate actions at Alice, but when he tries to initiate a kiss animation, Alice flawlessly counters by hitting his eye hitboxes. He questions if she bypassed his invisibility cloaking, and even though she hardcore caps about not seeing him, her dialogue tree proves she's completely locked onto his coordinates. Botchan forces his focus back to the only skill tree he's maxed out, piano playing. He goes absolute sweat mode, determined to flawless the track and secure the good ending with Alice. When he hits the final note, both the sheet and McFarlane get permanently deleted from the server, with the composer dropping a massive thank you for breaking his personal curse, leaving Botchan incredibly tilted that his own permaban is still active. The next morning, Botchan goes to fetch Alice from her spawn point. She greets him looking absolutely majestic, causing him to rush her equipping sequence. He starts spiraling, overthinking if she even perceives him as a male target, and he flashbacks to Viola dropping lore about the suspension bridge effect, basically gaslighting someone's heart rate into thinking they're in love. Botchan decides to run the experiment, and after Alice swaps her gear, he attempts a jump scare tactic, but she completely face-tanks it with zero reaction, proving he needs to upgrade his strat. Later, he drops a creepypasta about this anime called One Punch Man, and how absolutely cursed its adaptation is, but she's completely unbothered. He then tries to locate a gory painting to trigger her fear stat, but fails to find it until he notices it's already rendered on the wall. Confused but fully committed to the bit, he tries to frame it as ghost activity to scare her, and even though she's completely unfazed, she pretends to be terrified just to boost his ego. She even drops a massive Riz move, inviting him to listen to her heart monitor through her chest, claiming it's always spiking when he's in her proximity, which gives Botchan a massive silent W. As Alice exits the room, Rob interrogates her about the painting placement, and she totally admits to planting it there just so she can reverse jump scare Botchan later. Meanwhile, Botchan is aggressively inspecting the cursed PNG. While backpedaling, he fumbles his movement keys and knocks over a vase, and when he tries to recover the item, Rob forcefully blocks the interaction, dropping the lore that the plant is an ultra-rare heirloom from the clan's beta release. Rob aggressively pushes forward, equipping an actual axe, and a completely terrified Botchan hits max sprint speed in the opposite direction. Alice eventually locates him camping in a cupboard, where he trauma dumps about Rob's hidden berserker stats, so she forcefully clips into the small space with him to co-op the stealth mission. Rob's aggro radius enters their zone, and they hold completely still while Alice closes the distance, whispering she'll act as his meat shield. Once Rob de-aggros and leaves, Botchan jumps out and starts mouthing at her for nearly triggering his instant kill aura, which she 100% did on purpose just to troll him. He desperately scans for a better hiding spot, and Alice deviously suggests he camp under her skirt, and while he's absolutely fiending to get a whiff of that legendary loot, he knows it's an instant game over. Suddenly, Rob respawns and starts closing the gap, so Botchan hits a 200 IQ play, exploiting Rob's outdated audio drivers by perfectly mimicking Alice's voice line, completely confusing the boomer AI. After surviving the encounter, they crawl under Botchan's bed, where Alice confirms her heart rate is currently maxed out, meaning Botchan's suspension bridge strat was a massive success. She slowly reaches her character model toward his hand, absolutely desperate for the physical connection. But right before the hitboxes collide, Rob completely ruins the cinematic by triggering an emergency meeting. He flexes some legendary gems looted from the broken vase, dropping the lore that ancient rogue maids tried to pull a devious lick on Botchan's mom's jewelry stash. But because they used the vase as a stash spot, they never managed to extract with the loot. The maids start hardcore glazing Botchan for unearthing the legendary drop. And while Botchan gladly takes the XP, Rob hits him with the reality check that they still need to have a very serious voice chat about the destroyed vase. And Botchan realizes he's about to catch a massive ban warning. That night, Botchan boots into a dream sequence and realizes Alice is co-oping the exact same server. She drops the quest details that they previously activated a cursed book, spawning a spirit who promised a full cleanse if they could complete a capture the flag mission involving a white rabbit. Since this is basically a VR simulation with no permadeath, Alice immediately grabs his hands and forces them onto her massive assets. But Botchan instantly hits rock bottom, realizing the dream engine doesn't support haptic feedback. Suddenly, the white rabbit objective spawns, and they start speedrunning after it, having a totally wholesome time completely free from his negative aura. After grinding for 7 hours, Alice warns that the server is about to shut down, and while still locking hands, she drops the ultimate request for a kiss before they get disconnected. Botchan goes fully lock-in mode, closing the gap to claim his prize, but his alarm completely ruins the clutch, waking him up right before he gets to test out her lip physics. The spirit NPC they spawned absolutely flames them in chat for failing the quest, permanently banning them from summoning her again. But noticing Alice is still AFK beside him, Botchan hits the snooze button, desperately hard coping that he can clip back into her server and finish the cinematic. A few cycles later, Cuff starts visiting the base to grind her intelligence stats under Rob's elite tutoring. She's purely doing this to max out her riz with Zane, desperately hoping he'll lock her in as his permanent duo partner. Botchan asks for Zane's coordinates, and Cuff reveals that after they aggroed the entire witch guild, Zane started farming currency by performing at a circus. Mostly because the circus crowd literally doesn't care that his character model is a cursed birdman. Meanwhile, back at the main clan base, Walter, the Chad-looking brother, confronts Viola about constantly fast-traveling to Botchan's zone. Viola tells him to mind his own business, but Walter aggressively pushes back, claiming he's about to inherit the guild master title, so he needs full admin privileges. Viola ruthlessly fact-checks him, reminding him he's permanently locked at player 2 behind Botchan, dealing massive critical damage to his ego before dropping the nuke that if Botchan ever patches his curse, Walter will instantly lose all his admin rights. Walter trauma dumps that he's always hated Botchan because their mom treats him like a legendary drop, while Walter is stuck being a common NPC, leaving his ego completely cooked and inadequate. He interrogates Viola on why she's constantly visiting that cursed loser, but she hits him with the silent treatment and dips, claiming she's just staying neutral in this toxic family lobby. At lunch, Walter covers for her by capping to their mom that she's at a friend's house, while internally he's tweaking and vowing to prove he's the true alpha of the server. Later, when Viola pulls up to the mansion, she runs into Cuff, who claims she's just a circus performer. But Viola's paranoia spikes, thinking she's a rogue thief about to pull a devious lick. She tries to hit Cuff with a tackle, but she literally bounces off those massive high-definition badonkadonks. Viola is reeling from the physical and emotional damage of how soft those puppies are, while Cuff is just vibing, thinking it's a game and offering a hand to help the little hater up. Viola charges again like a tilted gamer, but Cuff just playfully grapples her back, making Viola's blood pressure hit the ceiling. Eventually, Viola pins Cuff down, declaring she's finally got the capture. But Cuff is so unbothered, she literally announces she's going to sleep mid-fight. Viola can't process this chill aura, but Cuff points out she knew Viola was the sister because their character models look exactly the same. Viola gets triggered by the comparison, but Cuff starts glazing Botchan, calling him a W-man and asking if Viola actually likes her brother. She's about to answer when the squad opens the door and catches them looking highly suspicious on the floor. They slam the door shut instantly, leaving Viola panicking that Rob thinks she's officially joined the Scissor Squad and ruined her chances with him. Once the confusion settles, she apologizes for calling Cuff a burglar, finally lowering her aggro. Suddenly, Rob touches a lock of her hair to clean it, and Viola goes so hyper-simper she literally sprints to the window, screaming into the night that her life is finally peak, while Botchan plays chess with Alice and tries not to fold as she begs him to be gentle, which almost makes him lose his composure. As the snow falls, Alice gets a cinematic flashback to the day she first spawned at the mansion to reunite with him. Back then, Botchan was a total doomer, camping in his room and refusing to interact with anyone after the curse dropped. When Rob first introduced them, Alice tried to remind him of their childhood friendship, but Botchan hit her with the "Who are you" dialogue, pretending he didn't know her. She kept pushing, explaining she'd been away after her mom died, desperately trying to trigger his memory files. But bro was committed to the bit and denied everything. Before leaving, Alice mentioned she still saw the kindness in his eyes, leaving Botchan to rot in his own misery, screaming at the world to leave him in his lonely lobby. Later, Rob escorted her to the servants' quarters, warning her not to push our fragile MC too hard. officially whitelisting her as the mansion's maid. The next morning, Botchan tried to flame her for her uniform being too revealing, but Alice just used it to bait him. She started teasing him with those top-tier assets, making his brain stall at the sight of her chest, even though he kept capping that he hated her and wanted her gone. She just watched from the shadows as he tried to play the piano and fumbled every note like a noob. When she brought him dinner later, he rejected the offer, prompting her to ask if the hate was actually real. Botchan admitted he felt like a literal monster who shouldn't exist and told her to go serve someone with actual riz. But Alice just complimented his looks and dipped, proving she was already down bad for the cursed prince. Talking to Rob later, she insisted that even though she'd lost her mom, her life was still a W compared to the suffering Botchan was going through. Suddenly, Botchan appeared, demanding she follow him like she was on an escort quest. He dragged her to his messy room and gave her a literal, clean this in 3 days or get banned ultimatum. He left her in the dark with an impossible task, basically griefing her on her first day. But Alice remembered the old, non-toxic Botchan and locked in to finish the grind. In a massive shock to his system, she speedrun the entire cleanup in just one night. Desperate to push her away, he told her to leave for her own safety, but she just sat down and promised to stay by his side. He asked for how long, and she said until you stop crying, which is some high-level waifu energy. Since Alice wouldn't leave, Botchan decided to log out of life himself. He walked straight into a blizzard, hoping to catch a permanent cold. He remembered the witch's curse to make him unloved, and was ready to give up on the whole romance mechanic. But he slipped and ate snow, losing all his movement speed. Instead of getting up, he just lay there like a total loser, waiting for the respawn screen. In his final moments, his brain finally loaded the memory of Alice, and he wished he could see her one last time. Just then, Alice pulled up, dragging his pathetic self out of the snow. He begged her to let him perish, but she just dumped snow on his head and flamed him for wasting his life like a bot. She told him to stop being selfish and think about the people who actually care. Botchan finally realized he had a reason to keep playing as long as she was in his party. She offered a hand and he accepted, finally choosing the path where they duke you through life together. Later, while warming up, Rob asked if the toxicity was over, and Botchan straight up admitted he liked her right in front of them both. Back in the present, Alice captures his king because Bro was too busy staring at her to pay attention to the board. He sighs that it's impossible to win when he's playing against someone this cute. A few days later, Viola is stressing over what Christmas loot to give Rob, and Botchan suggests new glasses while Alice votes for a handkerchief. Viola immediately steals Alice's idea and sprints to the store, and as Alice changes later, she mentions they're hosting a small mansion party with Cuff and Zane. Botchan is worried his drip isn't good enough, but Alice assures him he looks like a W. Meanwhile, Viola tries to wish her mom a Merry Christmas, but the old hag just flames her for never being home. She tells Viola to stay for dinner, and Viola folds at first, accepting the invite. But when the mom keeps being toxic and calling her childish, Viola just shuts down, suppresses her feelings, and dips anyway. She heads to Botchan's mansion despite the drama, but little does she know, Walter has already figured out her strategy. He disguises himself as the carriage driver, determined to pull up on his cursed brother and prove he's the real main character. Back at the house, Botchan and Alice are debating the dinner menu, and when Alice mentions Santa, Botchan's brain rot activates. He starts imagining her in a Santa skin, giving him the special gift he's been a good boy for all year. Cuff and Zane pull up with a tree, and Zane immediately tries to riz Alice, but Cuff sends him straight to the floor with a smack. Cuff starts tweaking about meeting Santa, and everyone realizes that despite being a witch, she actually thinks the big red guy is a real NPC. The girls start decorating the tree, while the boys handle the rest of the lobby. Zane can't stop staring at Alice's backside, prompting Botchan to warn him to stop catching feelings for his girl. Zane shifts his focus to Cuff, admitting she's actually cute and well-equipped even if she's bad at decorating. Botchan tells him to just send the confession, but Zane is too scared of ruining their Duokyu status. Zane then suggests a devious prank to wrap Alice in ribbons like she's a present, and Botchan's imagination goes into overdrive. But Cuff overhears the plan and sets Zane on fire before he can even start the mission. Once the tree is done, Cuff wakes up a sleeping Zane to show off her work, and he actually follows Botchan's advice. He pats her head and tells her she's as beautiful as the tree, but bro, she's already asleep while standing and missed the whole thing. He lays her down on the couch, not knowing she actually heard every word and was just acting AFK. That night, Viola reaches the mansion and rushes in to give Rob his loot, while Walter hops out of the carriage. He finds the gift she dropped and assumes it was for Botchan, getting tilted that she'd favor that loser over him. Once the tree is looking peak, Cuff wakes up a snoozing Zane to flex her hard work. He puts it on to see what the hype is about, but then Cuff pops out and thinks he's the real deal. She's thrilled to see Santa, so Walter just hands her the dropped gift to get her off his back. He tries to dip, but she follows him like an obsessive fan, and he realizes she's a witch when she transforms into a bat. She drags him to the chimney, forcing him to keep delivering gifts like he's working a 9 to 5. Meanwhile, Viola is stressing over her lost present, so she buries her face in Zane's fur to cope. Rob shows up and explains his costume was stolen, and then Walter literally falls down the chimney into the lobby. He tries to act like Santa, but everyone sees through the disguise instantly. He takes off the suit and announces he's Botchan's new rival for the inheritance. Botchan just compliments how handsome he's become, which makes Walter snap because he can't handle the kindness. Walter spots Zane and realizes Botchan is hanging out with witches, concluding he's unfit to lead the guild. Cuff pulls up, still not knowing who Walter is, and Viola tries to claim her gift back, leading to a massive argument. Alice and Rob head to the kitchen to prep dinner, leaving the brothers alone while the girls continue their toxic chat. Walter tells Botchan he's unworthy of the crown, and Botchan just says he'll earn it once the curse is patched, and his mom accepts him again. Walter admits he's sick of being the spare, and wants Botchan to feel what it's like to be displaced. The girls' fight gets so out of hand that Viola tells Cuff the present is actually cursed. Cuff immediately sets it on fire, but Botchan clutches up, saves the gift, and gives it back to Viola. Viola hits him with a rare thank you, and Walter is so tilted he challenges Botchan to a race to see who can break the curse first to claim the heir title. Botchan accepts and Walter tries to make a dramatic exit, but walks straight into the Christmas tree, losing all his aura points. The party finally gets moving with good food and vibes, and Viola successfully gives Rob his gift. After the guests leave, Botchan and Alice walk outside and she asks for a mistletoe kiss. Botchan panics so hard, he falls backward into the snow like a total bot. He's terrified of catching a ban for touching her, but she just laughs it off and enjoys the winter graphics. As the night ends, they both realize that even though the curse is still active, their party is just getting started. Wait, is this actually the end of the batch? Guess we'll have to wait for the next patch notes to see if he ever clears the curse. Right on cue, Cuff pulls up but has zero clue who Walter even is. Viola spots the loot in Cuff's hands and tries to claim it, but Cuff swears Santa himself dropped it, sparking a total sister spat. With no threats in sight, Alice and Rob head off to prep the feast, leaving Walter alone with our MC while the girls keep beefing. Walter starts throwing shade, calling our MC unworthy of the family name, but Bakken says he'll prove his worth once the curse is broken. Walter finally vents, admitting he's tired of being the spare brother, and now he wants Bakken to feel just as cast aside as he was. Meanwhile, the argument gets heated until Viola drops a massive lie, claiming the present is actually cursed. Big mistake, Cuff immediately sets it on fire. Our MC jumps into action, putting out the flames and handing the gift back. Seeing her shy thanks, Walter lays down a challenge. Whoever breaks the curse first becomes the heir. Naturally, our MC accepts. Walter tries to make a cold, dramatic exit, but ends up face-planting right into the Christmas tree, completely fumbling the bag and losing every bit of his cool rival aura. Later, the vibes are high as the party kicks off with a massive feast and plenty of laughs. Viola finally hands her gift to Rob, and the man is genuinely touched by the gesture. Once the guests clear out, Bakken and Alice head outside for some much-needed one-on-one time. When Alice playfully asks for a kiss beneath a mistletoe, Botchan startles and falls backward into the snow. This core memory triggers a flashback to when Bro first dropped his confession, telling her he wanted to duke you for life, which absolutely fried her brain back then. Now he's out here glazing her, dropping a fat W thank you for bringing that high-tier warmth into his bleak existence. Alice accepts his words as her legendary Christmas loot, but she hit him with a become mine request that almost sent him to the gulag. She lays down next to him in the frozen dirt, claiming that since they're locked in, she wants to sync up with every single chill and ember he feels. That night, Alice's hardware loads a legacy save file from when she was an NPC in the main mansion, back when her mom, Sharon, was still the head guild leader. Sharon kept Mini Alice in her party while grinding daily quests, and Alice watched all the other maids glaze her mom, filling her pride meter to the max. A young botchan ran past them, and Alice shyly waved at the prince, prompting Sharon to tease her about wanting to be his duo partner, and even though Alice tried to cap, her mom already saw her heart's coordinates. Suddenly, Rob spawned in, causing Alice to use her mom's skirt as cover before confessing she wanted to reach Sharon's legendary level one day. Rob hit her with a wholesome dialogue line, promising he'd be waiting for the day she officially joined the servant server. Later, Sharon led her back to her spawn point for a rest, reminding her that her health stats were pretty fragile. She hit her with a gentle hug and a love you buff before logging out. Alice abruptly reboots from the dream, desperately clinging to a ghost player's warmth that isn't there anymore. Meanwhile, Viola is catching an earful from the family at breakfast, knowing their mom is absolutely fuming that both her and Walter went AWOL on Christmas. Elsewhere in the city hub, after Viola bullied Zane into letting Cuff go solo, they finally let the witch go on a solo shopping raid. Zane is trailing her like a total creep in stealth mode, tweaking because he's worried but trying to respect her boundaries. Cuff starts looting groceries, and everything is fine until the vendor asks for cash, which completely confuses her witch-tier brain. Zane is sweating buckets, unsure if he should break stealth and intervene. But Cuff figures out the currency mechanics and pays up, even buying a loaf of bread and hugging it like a total weirdo. Suddenly, a random street rat kid tries to pull a devious lick and steal her bread. Since she's a literal boss-level witch, Cuff catches him lacking in 4K immediately. The kid slips and almost gets impaled on a sharp railing, but Cuff clutches up and saves his life. The kid apologizes for his L, and as Cuff gathers her drops, she realizes Zane has been spectating the whole time like a literal bot. Back at the crib, Alice finds our MC pacing around like he's got too much on his mind. She offers to stay until he passes out, and next thing you know, she's literally chilling in bed right next to him. He tells her to leave once he's out, but having his crush right there makes it impossible to sleep. The man is wide awake. She catches him staring and teasingly offers to drop the dress, but Bakken panics, terrified of losing control. He even starts hallucinating her as a literal succubus, so Alice doubles down on the teasing and starts undressing again. He stops her fast, reminding her that if Rob walked in on this, the old man would have a literal heart attack. She suggests they break the bed anyway, but our pure MC refuses, claiming it's not proper for an unmarried couple. Alice asks about his mom, and Bakken admits his true dream, breaking the curse and finally being welcomed back to the family table. He vows that once he's cured, he'll marry Alice, and if the old hag says no, he's ready to ditch the royal life entirely. Alice begs him not to throw it all away for her, but Bakken stays focused on breaking that curse first. Once he finally drifts off, Alice quietly sneaks out of the room. But out in the hall, she's blushing hard, realizing just how deep her feelings really go. She talks with Rob, which triggers a flashback to when Alice first started bringing the joy back into Bakken's life. Rob recalls how absolutely terrified he was when he was first tasked with raising the cursed boy. He had no clue how to handle a kid, and as Bakken hit his dark phase, they bumped heads constantly. That's when Rob realized the kid needed a friend his own age, and he immediately thought of Alice. He tracked her down and offered her a job at the mansion. The second Alice heard she'd see Bakken again, she signed up without a second thought, finally ditching her abusive aunt to start a brand new life by his side. It was a total relief for Rob to see Bakken laughing again, knowing Alice was the reason. Now it surprises him that Alice herself is conflicted, loving Botchan yet not wanting him to abandon his family for her. Rob reassures her that her feelings are valid, and that their connection feels like straight-up fate. Later on, Rob hears some piano vibes and finds Baddie playing while Alice vibes right next to him. He encourages her to sing, and Alice's voice is angelic, eventually pushing Baddie to join in. The request catches him off guard, but he starts singing just to make her happy. Alice whispers that she wants him bad, then slides into her room, leaving Baddie frozen with zero aura. Meanwhile, Viola and Walter are trying to find the curse's patch notes in the family archives. Viola finds an old servant's logbook and executes a devious lick, stealing it while leaving Walter to look like a bot in a barrel. She hides the loot from her mom, who just starts flaming her outfit again, ordering her to stop dressing like a total bum. Viola comes back in a high-tier dress, but her mom demands she stay in that ladylike skin from now on. Violated by the lack of choice, she vents to the squad and declares she's moving into Baddie's mansion to escape the toxic lobby at home. She begs Alice to help her become a maid so she can live away from the old hag. Just as she's complaining, Rob spawns in and compliments her dress, which instantly makes her accept her new skin. That night they have a total girls' night party, chatting about which characters they'd ship themselves with. Viola interrogates Cuff about her marriage goals, but the witch just starts tickling her to avoid the question. Viola hands Alice the logbook, and Alice is hyped to finally have some clues to clear the curse. The three of them try to co-op Alice's small bed, which leads to a massive argument about who has to sleep on the edge. Meanwhile, an owl is spectating from the window, and it turns out Daleth is using its POV to watch them from the witch server. She summons Zane and gives him a secret quest to carry out. Alice shows Rob the logbook, and they find some notes about witches visiting the mansion in the past. But the boomer claims he has zero memory of any of those events. Zane appears with a fake "let's be friends" message from Daleth, which basically means she's blacklisted them. Zane swears he and Cuff will always be in the squad, but then he eyes the book Alice is holding. Alice overhears this, and her embarrassment meter hits 100%. When she checks her inventory later, the logbook is gone. Zane stole it under Daleth's orders to delete the evidence. Zane tried to resist, but Daleth threatened to feed Cuff to hellhounds, forcing him to do the devious lick. Just as he's about to burn the item, Baddie pulls up and interrogates him. Zane confesses the whole mission, but Baddie actually tells him to burn it anyway to keep Cuff safe. She summons Zane, confronts him, and gives him a direct order for a secret mission. Later, while Alice is checking the logbook, Rob pulls up and she shows him the old notes, even his own handwriting. One entry mentions two strange women in white visiting, and Alice realizes that witches have definitely been here before. But when she presses Rob for details, he claims his memory is a total blank. Zane shows up with a message from Daleth saying she wants to be friends, which is code for stay away after that Sabbath mess. Later, Alice catches Zane teasing Baddie about his simp behavior, prompting Baddie to loudly claim Alice belongs only to him. Zane promises that he and Cuff will always have their backs, no matter what. He asks about the book she's holding, and she explains it's the old logbook she's planning to binge later. Later, Alice finds Zane lurking in the piano room with our MC right there. Zane starts teasing Baddie about confessing, and the MC goes full alpha, declaring that Alice belongs only to him. Alice hears the whole thing and nearly dies from pure embarrassment. But when she goes to read the logbook, it's gone. Turns out Zane snatched it on Daleth's orders to protect the witch's secrets. Zane tried to resist, but Daleth threatened to feed Cuff to literal hellhounds, giving him no choice. Just as he's about to torch the book, Baddie shows up and asks what the heck he's doing. Zane spills the truth about the mission, but he can't bring himself to destroy something so tied to the kindness he's received. In a shocker, Baddie hands the book back and tells him to burn it anyway, because he won't risk Cuff's safety either. The MC considers them friends, and moved by this massive W move, Zane vows to help him for real. He reveals Daleth is always watching, so he fakes the destruction while secretly pocketing a single scrap of paper. As long as that fragment survives, the logbook lives on. They just have to wait for the witch to stop lurking. Zane tells Baddie to act like the book is gone, and the MC puts on an Oscar-worthy performance, begging for it back. He then lies to Alice, claiming he was the one who took the book just to read it. keeping her safe while protecting Zane's secret plan. Later, Baddie promises to protect Alice from everything, using the exact same words her mother once did. Meanwhile, even though she saw the book burn, Daleth still isn't fully buying Zane's loyalty. She drops her mask and opens a tomb, revealing the preserved body of Alice's late mother, Sharon. Big yikes. A few days later, Baddie gets a letter from his mom telling him it's time to come home. Alice tries to cheer him up, and Baddie admits this is the first time he'll see his mom in 10 whole years. He's nervous but wants to see her, though he wished he could have broken the curse before facing her again. Since he's still cursed, he's already imagining her cold disappointment. Alice feels his pain and wants to comfort him, but instead offers to come along to the main estate. They head out together, leaving Rob and the witches to hold down the fort. Rob knows this meeting is a huge test. Upon arrival, Biola welcomes them but says their mom wants a one-on-one. Alice heads off to vibe with the other maids, leaving Baddie to face his family alone. On the way, Walter snitches that he already told her about Biola's visit, but Baddie doesn't even get mad, which totally triggers him. When Baddie finally walks in, he's hit with a wave of emotion seeing his mother after a whole decade. But she just greets him with ice-cold disappointment because he's still cursed. Rough start. Baddie tries to mention Alice, but she shuts him down immediately, ordering him to finish the talk tomorrow. Meanwhile, the other maids are fanning over Alice, shocked at how much Sharon's daughter has grown up. On her way to her room, she runs into Baddie's mom, who nearly jumps out of her skin, mistaking her for Sharon. So the head maid sets the record straight that this top-tier baddie is Alice, not Sharon. And she drops the law that the guild leader mother totally lost her mind after Sharon logged out, since they were basically besties. That night, Botchan pulls up to her spawn point, admitting he missed her like a total Gooner even though they were barely apart. This confession fills her Riz meter, so she leans in for a smooch, but our beta MC pulls away like a bot, fearing his negative aura might pack her up. So once he dips, Alice lies there wishing he'd just hardcore devour her lips and tongue already. Women. Next morning, Viola takes Botchan to the map where his curse first dropped. Just as he spots the grave, he recognizes the cursed coordinates. He remembers farming clovers for his waifu when a toxic witch suddenly sniped his back and disabled his romance feature. But while walking back, they pass the Queen Mother who ruthlessly roasts Viola's mid-drip and tells Botchan to pull up for dinner or catch a permanent ban. Botchan tries to comfort his sister, but she says catching strays from Mom is just a normal Tuesday. She spills that even in a top-tier guild, none of the siblings can actually touch grass or live freely under her control. Come dinner time, Botchan sits a mile away from the table to keep his negative aura in check. Then Mom announces that with the guildmaster dad hospitalized, a new heir must be picked, so if Botchan hasn't patched his curse by spring, Walter takes the crown. Just as she tries to dismiss him, Botchan stays to discuss his main objective. He mentions Alice, and the old hag remarks that she's got the same character model as Sharon. Botchan agrees and glazes Alice for being an S-rank woman, but when he says he's marrying her, Mom starts laughing, claiming a freak like him could never lock down a lowly peasant, let alone make babies. This makes Botchan snap, and he loudly declares that Alice is the only reason he hasn't quit the game and restored his warmth. So he vows to marry her, shouting that none of their lives belong to her, because everyone has the right to choose their own build. After that absolute Sigma moment, he exits the lobby while his siblings walk him to the carriage fast travel point. Meanwhile, Mom is secretly proud of his character development, seeing he's no longer a fragile beta little boy. So the squad praises his massive resolve, and then he and his baddie Alice head back to the mansion. Back home, they duo queue cards with Rob, where Botchan mentions the massive deadline to clear his curse. Once the boomer butler logs off, Botchan and Alice continue their card mini-game. With only 2 cards left in hand, Alice says his choice here is basically a simulation of picking between his royal guild or marrying her. Botchan pulls the king representing his clan, but he rejects the loot and restarts the whole game. So he promises he'll always choose her romance route, even if it breaks the server logic. Afterward, Botchan faints from the stress, so Alice drapes a blanket over him and whispers she loves him too, hoping the devs have their back in the future. If you vibed with this brain rot until the end,